I'm the big man, attorney Joey Franks with Big Man Law here in Jackson, Mississippi. And today we're popping up to see Judge Middleton. This one's a pretty straightforward one. It's got some interesting things to it that I want to talk about on the back side that are more personal than they are legal, probably. I think Judge Middleton does the guy real solid, but take a look at it and I'll see you in a second.
Yes, sir.
This is file number 121, excuse me, that's the date. 232328. It allegedly occurred on December 17th of 23. Charged with driving suspended and no proof of insurance or registration. This matter was adjourned a couple of times for an attempt to get your other tickets paid off. And this morning we were talking about a Judge Meineke, that has a very structured program called Operation Drive, where they do things to try to help people get their license back. It's a very impressive program. We do it much less rigorously and informally, but we've helped several hundreds of our own people help to get their license back. So Mr. Keck, driving suspended is a misdemeanor. It's punishable by up to 93 days in jail and a fine of up to $500. Carries 2 points on your license and requires that your license be suspended. At the same time you got this ticket on December 17th, you also got a civil infraction ticket for no proof of registration. And when I looked this morning, that ticket had been defaulted. And I think it's still hanging out there.
My client advised that he paid $125 on that today.
All right, very good. Let's take a look. Yeah, when did you pay it?
Right before I came in here, I came in.
All right, well, very good. I checked it this morning and it was unpaid, and now it is paid.
Yes, sir.
All right, very good. So in light of that, Mr. Rognes had indicated he would dismiss the charge of driving suspended for a plea to a charge called allowing another to violate the motor vehicle code, 257326. Carries no points, no driver responsibility fee. There are no more. But anyway, it doesn't get abstracted to your license. Sounds like perhaps they found Miss Niffen. Do you understand the charge?
Yes, sir.
So you got that ticket paid off. Have you made the effort to get your license reinstated?
I have, but I've been unsuccessful. I don't have like a birth certificate, a social security card. When all this had happened, I had went through a breakup with a woman that I was with for 10 years, and I had moved out of the house and let her keep the house. In the middle of all that is when I got charged with this. So before I was able to, in the past, I was able to go into the cold water courthouse and give them a bunch of information on like my parents and where I was born and this and that, and they would give me a birth certificate. When I went there to try to get my birth certificate, they said that I needed a social security number and that they no longer did like that paper with information on it. So that's like where I'm at pretty much. Is I don't.
Do you have a social security number?
They said card. I have a social security number. I do not have my social security card, my birth certificate, or any ID at all. I don't have any ID.
Things have gotten stricter.
Yeah.
And once upon a time, you could just go get a birth certificate.
Yeah.
And obviously people were using alias names and that sort of thing. The way it works here in our county, you can get your own birth certificate. In fact, I've helped people. I've given them $10 so they could go get their birth certificate. And then on a few occasions, I've had people show up without any ID. And they said, well, does anyone know you? I said, well, Judge Middleton does. So I went over there and said, yeah, that's so-and-so.
Right.
But yeah, it's like you need identification to prove who you are to get identification.
Yeah.
Um,
Am I able to say one thing? I'm not trying to interrupt you. And then just the other thing I wanted to say was all of my vehicles are in Personal Touch Tree Care's name, which is in my brother's name. and I live with him. Like I don't even have my own car. So the other issue is when they're asking me to bring them like a Wi-Fi bill or an electricity bill or something like that to prove who I am. At this point in my life, I have 0 bills in my name for anything.
Have you filed a tax return?
No, I haven't. Yeah. I haven't filed a tax return in a long time.
Well, all right. That's all well and good. I guess if you want to live under the radar, that's not up. But the problem is you can't drive.
I know. I live with so many people, and I mean, I know that this isn't the best deal, but like when I need to get somewhere, I just call one of my employees and tell them like, you're on the clock, I need you to work today, and then they just drive me where I want.
Well,
like,
that's better than.
I had my license suspended for a couple of years, and the only thing stopping me from getting it back was the reinstatement fee, and I had just never got it back. Then I went and got it back, and then I had it for like 6 months, and then now this. So I'm personally just more comfortable with not having my license. It's caused me a lot of problems, like driving vehicles without a plate.
Well,
way or insurance
let's say,
that
for
way.
example, you wanted to fly on an airplane. You certainly can't do that.
Right.
But I guess you can live your life without a driver's license or ID. It just gets more and more. You can't vote.
Yeah, I agree. It is difficult. It's not ideal. It's just what I would prefer to do at the moment, just until I can get back on my feet.
All right,
If that,
fair enough. Let me finish going through your rights with you and the others, Mr. Hagan and Mr. Riley. And do you understand that if you do plead to this charge, you're giving up your right to have a trial in front of a judge or jury?
yes, sir.
If you had a trial, you'd have the right to be represented by an attorney. Mr. George is here with you. Mr. Rognus gave some consideration from the prosecutor's office. But if you had a trial, your lawyer would be there with you through the sentencing. But by entering this plea, there won't be a trial. If you had a trial, you'd have the right to take the witness stand and testify on your own behalf. You don't have to, because you have a right not to testify. And if you did not wish to testify, the judge or jury could not hold your silence against you. And you have the right to be presumed innocent unless the state was able to prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. And you could subpoena any witnesses on your own behalf, for or against. All right, where were you going on December 17th?
I was headed home from a job that I had just completed.
In a company truck?
Yeah.
What happened to the truck?
What do you mean, Your Honor?
Did they let somebody come get it or they impound it?
They let my business partner come and get it. We sat there until he came.
Well, good for them, because it gets very expensive when the stuff is impounded.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, at some point, if you want to get married, get buried, vote, fly, buy a house, get a credit card. Yeah, it's much less common that people will be this far under the radar. $100 fine, $75 crime victims' rights fee, and a $50 state minimum fee. I'm gonna make that a $75 fine. You pay the other stuff off. Total of that is $350, which is pretty expensive. Posted $100 of bond. And you got arrested once. Once. So I think you spent 1 day in jail. So you owe $250. Can you pay that by the end of September?
Yes, sir.
Well, you can't pay by credit card because you don't have a credit card, but you can pay by cash or certified check or money order. Or you can use a company credit card, I guess, to pay it. But it's due by September 30th. And if you got people to drive you around, that's a good stopgap plan, but ultimately, I'd like, if you lived here, I would probably try to drag you over the finish line and get your ID. But that's on you. All right, Mr. Keck, you're good to go.
Thank you so much.
All right, if you're back, you need to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done that, or leave a comment and tell us what you think about this so far. Because I like seeing it when a court does somebody a real gesture of kindness. Judge Milton said, you know, I've even given guys $10 so they can go get a driver's license. But this guy, the issue I run into is he says, I don't even file my taxes. I support living off the grid. I hate government interference in most aspects of things, but I also can't stand it when somebody takes advantage of all the benefits that they receive, but they are not contributing their portion. So he doesn't seem to be doing that. And this guy, he says that he split with the girl he's been with for the last 10 years and he lost all of his stuff. But if you listen carefully, he's been there to get another birth certificate. It sounded like multiple times. So he doesn't sound like a very responsible person in that sense. But you can't help but appreciate the kindness that Judge Middleton is showing the guy. He's trying to work with him, trying to tell him how he can go about doing things. And you've got to love that. And that's one of the things I always enjoy about Judge Middleton. Some people get onto him for having his ponytail and stuff like that. I like him. I think he'd be a very nice person to meet for coffee or something like that, and a fair judge to go in front of, especially in that community. I understand some people in the prior videos have commented that it may be a relatively poor community, which in Mississippi, frankly, I'm no stranger to. You get up into the Mississippi Delta and you'd be astounded at some of the things that you will see up there. So I like seeing it when courts help people. I don't like seeing it when people don't help themselves or they don't contribute. That's a personal thing. It's not a legal thing. Could be a legal thing. He might be in trouble with the IRS after the video. I don't know about that. I've never handled an IRS matter. It's one of the things I've never touched. And frankly, if I got in trouble, I would hire a lawyer. Just understand that if an IRS agent shows up, special agent, then you want to see the warrant and you need to call your accountant and your lawyer. And I'm talking about the tax stuff because September the 15th is the deadline for filing business taxes. And of course, I've got to file my business taxes. That is my weekend project. So I guess that's why I'm grumpy about people not paying taxes, because I'm having to pay taxes. Well, I enjoyed it. Hope you did too. Good luck on the other side of tax season. I guess technically tax season has passed. I guess it's the late tax season. We'll roll with it. Have a good one.